Hello and welcome back to Suzerain. So let's deal with this whistleblower thing then. Now, he is going to reveal extremely sensitive information about a weapons program, but taking him in will risk antagonizing Rumberg. But the thing is, Rumberg is already going to be mad at us, right? They're going to be trying to attack us anyways. They have expansionist, ambitions. They have imperialist ambitions, and it's not like us taking in this guy is essentially going to change that. Or sending him back isn't going to change it either, I don't think. Would be an olive branch, but I don't think they need olive, or they even care about olive branches, so I'm going to grant him asylum. Sordland accepts whistleblower. Will, whether Rain's decision will be worth the anger and possible retaliation from the Rumberg government remains to be seen. They can't go to war over one man. They might be like the casus belli they're looking for, the just cause. But I think they're going to be taking some sort of opportunity at any point anyways, whenever they get one. I've been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Stanley Kubrick's new film, The Morning Shall Come. Although I wasn't in much of a moving-going mood, it would have been unprecedented not to attend. With its massive budget and his Kubrick's directorial cachet, this drama was set to be a milestone for Sordland's burgeoning film scene. Personally though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. We're at the very first cinema in Sordland. I gazed at the vast plains between Hulsord and Erlery as we drove on the H1. Surge had maxed out the air conditioning to keep the Cadilla comfortable. Frank fidgeted with his tie as he stared out the window. What about the university exam, son? Since when do you care about what's happening in my life? Well, come on. You know I'll support you whether or not you pass or fail those exams. What an honor, your highness. Frank, don't talk to your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. Excited for the movie, sweetie? She nodded happily. What about you, Papa? You want something, right? You should smile and keep doing your best even if you lose. Ha, I won't lose, isn't that right, Monica? Of course, let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove on in silence. Surge rolled down the soundproof glass between us. Sir, we are about to enter Erlery. We'll be at the cinema in a few minutes. Thank you, Surge. Took a brief look outside as Surge rolled the soundproof glass up again. I could see the many towers of Erlery rising over what was left of the old city walls. The range of the Markian Empire's beating heart has faded away due to several sackings that left many of its historic buildings destroyed. What kind of like historical analogy this might be towards? Capital of Sword's alcohol for its famous vineyards and whiskey distilleries, very cool. In the distance, there were several planes flying towards the city. As I got closer to us, I saw that they were military planes that looked like Arcasian designs. They were probably headed for a new joint military base. Surge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We're at the main square of Erlery, and the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us. Is this the place? Yep. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. We have one of these in Trondheim. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Or sort of like it. Surge pulled the car door to the entrance of the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. Come on, let's get out. Surge opened the door and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block their path, or our path. Mr. President, oh no, it's her. Your constitutional reforms made it through the Assembly. How do you feel about their chances with the Supreme Court? I trust the justices will make the right decision. Thank you, Mr. President, and were you aware that Arkansas would be present at the proceedings? Of course I was. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque-style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers of the event and its organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps. Alfred Stanley Kubrick. State productions, including an adaptation of the famous Ungur with an entirely bluish cast. His first film was Resident Carl, which sounds like Citizen Kane on Sordland, which is a controversial movie with social-political commentary on Sordland, which is consistently ranked the greatest Swordish film ever made. It was later banned in Sordland by Tarkin Sol. Famous movies such as Rebecca, A Touch of Satan, and Eyes Wide Open. The Swordish Dream. He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Alfred Shearbrook. The honor is mine, Shearbrook. I'm a big fan of your work. Frank snorted. I glanced at him and he instantly took a sip of his cola. It's very humbling to know that you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind me asking, which one was your favorite? This one may be slightly different than my previous works. I want to say Citizen Carl, but I'm going to say The Swordish Dream. I don't know The Man Who Saved the World. I don't see that. So I'm gonna say The Swordish Dream. Oh really? Then you might enjoy this one too. I'll admit, I didn't expect you to be such a cinephile. Frank looked at me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start. We entered the screening room, the lights dimmed, and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a Swordish soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed, Bluish farmer during the conquest of Bergia. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me. So, what did you think? Tarkin Sol. Tarkin Sol leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I'd noticed at the assembly meeting. Yet up close, I could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. I'm happy the plight of the Bluish might finally get the attention it deserves. Be careful where you extend your sympathies, Mr. President Rain. Enough small talk. Why were we at the assembly vote? My country was about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by. Your scheme didn't work. I won. Sol fixed me with a piercing stare, his back straightened. Perhaps my clout with the assembly isn't what it used to be, but you may yet encounter difficulties pushing your reforms through the Supreme Court. Why do you want these reforms blocked so badly? I will not let you and that bleeding heart idiot Richter tarnish my precious constitution. Your constitution is ancient history. My reforms will bring Soda into the future, I think, maybe, or... I'm doing this for the good of the country. Ha! Some spittled landed on my cheek. You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness. He slipped past me and out the door. Sol's security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. That's Tarkin Sol, I heard someone scream, his guards close around him, and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family, and Sol was long gone. He just threatened to have me deposed. That's very cool. Diplomatic strategy, dinner with the family at home, and... ceremonial duty for the day of dissension. Rain and Sol meet at screening. New law been vetoed, yep. One film, two very special guests. Washroom summit, what are Rain and Sol hiding? This is very typical, I like this is funny. Rain vetoes racist language bill, yep. Okay, let's go for the ceremonial duty for the day of dissension. Morning haze surrounded the city of Deir as the sun dawned on the day of the Ascension, the holiest day of the New Tier religion. It celebrated the first message received from God by Saint Dust and his 30 disciples. As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the Ark Sanctuary of Dastrunity, close to the public eye. This year, however, for the first time ever, it was going to be televised. That was Lucian's idea as he saw it, granting people a rare glimpse of the grand ceremony and showing them how seriously their president took this holy event, would ease any tensions that lingered in the region. And so we arrived at the largest cathedral in Sodland. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance. This will work out well, trust me, sir. Of course, that's our only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Please don't forget the order. Ah, frick. Hold on. Okay, I paused it a little bit so I could just write this down. First, you will need to grasp the Holy Scepter with your left hand, and then touch the altar with your right, kneel before the Archpriest, and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Oh no! Then touch the sword with the hand you touched the altar with. Which hand was that? Touch the sword. With right hand. Hand the scepter over to the archpriest. This is so... Imagine if this doesn't have any bearing on anything. Hand the scepter to the archpriest and receive the sword before passing it to his disciple. Okay, pretty straightforward, isn't it? I don't understand what you just said. Just do your best to remember it. We can't afford to lose our religious base over this. You'll have to go first. I'll come inside later and we'll meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir. Okay. Can't you give me like a little... let me wear a wire or something so I can just get the instructions from you. I exited the car and I was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. I waved to the people as I made my way to the grand gates. The Ark Sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it cast a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top. Just standing next to it made me feel an awe and dread in equal measure. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The Archpriest and his disciples were waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they all bowed their heads in respect. The Archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back. Oh, I can't see the codex entry. Oh well. Tall and handsome in his mid-50s, he was one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even likened him to Saint Dust. Mr. President, praise God, it is a blessing to see you on our most holy day again. Welcome, welcome. Bow your head before the archpriest, which triggered a few murmurs of approval from the crowd. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both his hands, and everyone immediately fell silent. Oh, great people of Swordan, once again we are gathered here to honor the Day of Dissension. I am indescribably happy to be sharing this moment with you, as well as every blood and sword, old and young, tuning in to their television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons and daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises. Disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Be good, my children. Praise God. Praise Swordan. He smiled beatifically as or beatifically, I don't know how to pronounce that word actually, as the crowd burst into rapturous applause. After it subsided, he turned to me. Shall we move inside for your confession? I pulled the archpriest aside for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes at the same time. I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. Most excellent! He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and nearest icons lining the walls. We walked up a creaking spiral staircase, they always do in the churches, to the top floor and finally arrived in front of the confession chamber. I'm, like, in Norway, oh my god, I can't speak. Catholicism isn't a big deal in Norway. So, like, the Protestant church is the state religion. Well, we sort of abolished the state religion, I guess, sort of. Or rather, we made it, like, not... I actually don't remember exactly how that worked, but more or less, Protestantism is meant to be, like, the traditional state religion, and that's, like, I've only attended a few things in my childhood. And so I'm not familiar with how confessions are made or anything like that. He gestured towards a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light every one of the candles, one for each virtue and vice. I'll be right with you. He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. Anton Rain, speak and confess now before the one God, and may he repent your sins on the most holy day of dissension. Confess that I am not sure what I'm doing for Swordan is enough. You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like. I'm trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for it yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of Nurity, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you would like to confess? That's all for today. Before God, I thank you for sharing. I don't think I've been a bad husband. Oh, sorry. I'm getting this Epic Games notification. You're now forgiven before God, Anton Rain. May you never sin again. The sliding window closed and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of the virtues and vices. With this, the once burning sins connected to you are now smoke and then nothing. I extinguished the candles. Well done, Mr. President. Let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony. He led me through the 1,000-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. Well then, please have a seat. The wooden chair to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. Are you ready for the ceremony? I'm a bit nervous. Happens to the best of us. It will be televised after all. He leaned back in his chair comfortably. I wanted to talk to you about something. I realize it has been months since the Benfey Festival, but this is my first chance to bring this up with you. It's about the actions of the First Lady. As you know, the festival is a holy event. Letting a woman make the opening speech did not sit well with us. We share the same concerns as Mr. Lest. A woman's place is beside her family, not giving public speeches in revealing dresses. Certainly not insulting the important traditions behind such an event. Disgust was apparent on his face. Of course, we cannot ask that you to do anything about it. She's your wife, but I just wanted to voice our disapproval of the situation. A woman presiding over such an important religious event. What have we become? That's none of your business. You're right, Mr. President. I just wanted to voice our opinion on the matter. A couple of knocks were heard on the door, and a young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, before letting us know that the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs, where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically as the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymn, an expectant silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. I started to walk, bowed, and approached the altar. Grab the scepter with my left hand, and touch the altar with your right. Kneel and wait for sword. The archpriest laid the sword on my shoulder. Touch the sword with the hand that touched the altar. Hand the scepter to the archpriest. Can you tell I'm looking down at my notes? Because I have the memory of a goldfish. The archpriest handed me the sword. Pass it to a disciple. Got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear. Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir. My eyes met with the archpriest, and he very slightly nodded. Wait, what year is it now? Surely the newspaper will say. No, it will not. I want to see what year it is. Where does it say? Hold up. We left the cathedral to greet the waiting crowd. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We waved proudly for a minute or two. See, sir, I told you it would work. We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in Deir. President attends the day of dissension. Very good. What's going on here? Whistleblower in safe house. Near Antel. Okay. Let's go to the White Room. The doors to the White Room, like everything else in the ruined palace's main nerve center, were painted white. I took a deep breath before pushing them open. Time for yet another meeting. At least this time it was with people who liked me. The attendees rose up from their seats. Mr. President. Joseph nodded, and he and Lucian sat down, while David remained standing. Now that you are here, let's talk about our diplomatic strategy. I would like to provide you with a short overview of where we are right now. Go ahead. Although we did not make a trade deal with Valen, we succeeded in making one with Agnolia, which means that we have increased our presence in the region. These deals were important pieces of leverage and significant steps in the global arena, and we must now look towards the future. Go on. Valen and Agnolia were practice runs. We must begin improving our relationship with greater nations. We need to elevate our international standing, especially with the threat of Rumburg looming. Yusuf cleared his throat. Mr. President, you know me, I don't trust the helping hands other countries offer us for a good reason. But I also know when those helping hands are necessary. And right now, we need all the help we can get. I've said this over and over, but I will repeat it until you get it through your skull. Rumburg will come sooner or later, and with the current state of the military of Rumburg, if a Rumburg invasion happens, Sworden will cease to exist. We need allies. We ought to hear Head General Heed H-E-E. General Lencia's advice, Mr. President. I trust your assessment, Joseph. Thank you, Mr. President. A military perspective is important, but these deals are about more than just gaining allies. We must also consider the benefits to our economy such deals will provide, especially when we are still struggling to end the recession. At the start of our term, I had a comprehensive trade deal plan laid out. Following the visits to Vel and Agnolia, we were to pursue potential trade deals with two greater nations. Valkstein is one of them, or at least was. Unfortunately, a trade deal with them no longer seems possible. In Valkstein's case, because of the country's territorial ambitions, our alliance with Agnolia was rather a slap in the face. Now those commies won't be able to invade Agnolia without facing the might of the Swedish armed forces. It will make them think twice. True, but as a result, we won't be able to conduct the trade deal, let alone proceed with any diplomatic missions at the moment. Unfortunate, so much needless dispute over such a small island. I'm afraid it might get much worse in the future. As we stand right now, any kind of deal with Valkstein is simply out of the question. Moving on to Lesbia. Our southern neighbor is one of the wealthiest countries in eastern Makopa. Trade with them would be very beneficial, but not just for our economy, but also for our regional and international presence. Not to mention that they are in the Arcasian sphere. Trade deal with Lesbia could open many doors for us. True, a country as influential as Lesbia could elevate our economy. That is it for the overview. As for our actual contents of the trade deal, the investment we have made in Bergia region has yielded positive results. Lucian. Looking at my stats here, the investment helped increase the wheat output of the region. We now have a surplus, which makes an excellent resource for trade, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I need to know your decision before we can proceed. What should we do? Before we say anything, remember what I said. We need allies, not just a trade deal. If Rumburg attacks, we will fall. Begin negotiations with Lesbia. Thank you for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. And Joseph and the rest left the White Room. Okay, isolated polio cases seen in Bergia. The place safely been placed under quarantine after a few polio cases were diagnosed in the region. The outbreaks largely confined to Velen, and there's little chance of further infections occurring in Sordland. Well, that's good. Polio cases explode in Bergia. That's not good. Rain will visit Lesbia for trade deal, okay? Currency loses value against Arcasian Lira, that's not great. I arrived home from work and hung my jacket up. I just had to have a look at the time and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused, awaiting my usual greeting from my wife and my daughter. Diana was not out at one of her after-school art classes, I remembered, but where was Monica? From the living room, I heard a muffled sob. I entered to find Monica sitting at the sofa, a letter in her hands and a look of despair on her face. Sit down next to Monica. Monica briefly rested her head on my shoulder, then handed me the letter. It's from the Department of Education. Frank's university exam results are in. How did he do? See for yourself. His score was written 435 points out of a total of 1,000. At the bottom of the letter, the word failed was stamped in red. All those years of effort, all those private lessons, all down the drain. Does he know the results yet? No, but he should come back from school soon. I just don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard a key turning in the front door. Frank stomped in and was about to go straight upstairs when he noticed us both in the living room. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Have a seat, Frank. Took a seat from across us. I handed him the letter. He started reading it. Oh shit. Son, we're not angry at you. I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink and washed his face. A moment later he came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I should have been around to help you study. Right, you should have taken a break from running the country to help your loser son. Frank looked close to tears. Monica put her hand on his shoulder. It's going to be okay, but you really should have studied harder, Frank. I know. So what am I supposed to do now? Well, there's always military school, but you're the president's son. You'll still have options. Monica surprised me with her enthusiasm. If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into King's Hill University, I'm sure Halstead State would have room for a bright boy like Frank. It would be nice to have him closer to home. Halstead State would be amazing. A bunch of my friends are going there. I could still come home to do my laundry. Could also study abroad. With enough money, I could get you into Harkard in Arcadia. It's one of the best universities in the world. That sounds great, actually. Anton, I wanted to stay in Swordland. Well, I've got to get out and experience the world sometime, and in Arcadia, people might see me as something more than just the president's son. Still, I like it, but I understand. What do you think, Anton? So, Harkard is 2 personal wealth. Then you have the medical program in United Contana, which is free. Oh, this is a hard one, because I want to send him to Arcadia or Contana. But I also don't want to pay, because I need the bribes for the Supreme Court. Apologies, I had to sneeze. Let's send him to State University. Thanks so much, Dad. I swear I won't let you down this time. What a day. Who's hungry for dinner? Okay, I went to my office and started making some phone calls. Now, let's see what's up. Court strikes down Urson v. Swordland. Chief Justice Hawker of the Supreme Court made an announcement after the majority of the justices voted against the violation of constitutional rights for British citizens as proposed by Urson. The landmark case, which was politically charged with the support of WPB and even PFJP establishment, caused a major disagreement between the Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Hawker highlighted the importance of impartial justice once again. Okay. Tani Ashraf, who was a British carpenter, was killed by Swedish soldiers during the protest against the construction of the Sol Dam. Okay. Justice failed once again, says the radical. Filed a 6-5 dissent and closed the Urson v. Swordland case today. Well, that's terrible, actually. Having a 6-5 dissent on something like that is terrible. Let's see. What's this? Nia Morgna arranged a dinner. Well, actually, no, we might not have time. Or we should have. Dinner meeting with Justice Isabel Edmunds this evening. Ahead of the dinner, Nia and I met to have a talk. We settled on a table on the 2nd floor of the Le Papillon, a world-class lesbian restaurant in downtown Holsord. The whole floor was reserved for us, and the music coming from the downstairs was enough to suppress our voices against any potential eavesdropper. I still can't believe Sol came to the vote. I'm sure he has also pressured the justices of the court right after that win. I can't speak any sense into them. What about Edmunds? Do you think we can sway her? Yes, I think she's our best bet, but we have a meeting with her now, after all. She's not openly protesting against the old gods, but she has told me about her concerns about them. She's certainly open to dialogue, but also skeptical. She seems to be scared of a potential purge against the court. You think she's scared of us? She's not entirely scared about the situation, but then again, none of the court even believed that you would pass the assembly. So maybe she's feeling the pressure on her now, but in any case, we'll discover that soon enough. What has Orsi been doing? He's been doing his best to organize a court against your proposal. The weak link is Heron, but the rest are unbreakable. We need to talk to Heron then. Yes, we might need him for the last vote. We should call Lucian. He has been trying to make a deal with him. Let's talk about the next steps. Well, the next step is speaking to Isabel and making sure she votes for the proposal, but also... Did you decide on the entree, sir? We have a guest coming. We'll wait for her to order. Of course, sir. I'll be around. I'll learn that from Yakuza Zero. He went downstairs again. Nia took a sip from a glass of water and looked at me. Do you think we'll succeed? I'd like to hope so, yes. We might need to get both Isabel and Heron to work with us. I don't want to rely on Isabel to bring exactly 3 votes. It's risky. Let's not overthink this, though. Mr. President, we have to focus on the meeting with Isabel now. But anyway. So, how about you? How have you been holding up? I'm fine, Mr. President. Thanks for asking. I'm just focused on the proposal. If it passes the Supreme Court, this will be a historic moment for Swordland. I just don't want to see another failure trying to change the Constitution anymore. Me neither, Mrs. Morgna. We have to make sure we can succeed. I've done my best so far, Mr. President. It is up to you now to persuade Isabel. I'm slightly scared that Isabel's help might not be enough. Yeah, let's talk about what we'll do with Isabel. Let's not try not to agitate her when she comes. We won the vote, so she already has pressure on her. But if she feels cornered, we might lose her, so it's important not to put too much pressure on her. Agreed, we shouldn't scare her off. That's for the best. Suddenly, I noticed Justice Isabel Edmunds coming upstairs. She was wearing a plain dark gray dress that hid most of her features. Oh, good to see you, Mrs. Edmunds. Nia got up from her chair to shake Isabel's hand. Stand for a handshake. Mr. President, good to see you. Good to see you, Justice Edmunds. She took a seat across the table. How was your day, Mrs. Edmunds? I would normally say good, but this time I'll take the liberty to say that it was insanely exhausting. Heavy court matters again, not that I'm complaining. Suddenly the waiter approached us. Are you ready to give the orders, sir? Madam? I'll have the sauté per las, please. As you wish. Mrs. Edmunds? I'll have the salad, thank you. Of course, and you, sir? I'll have the... I'll have the liver fricassee, I guess? Quickly took a couple of notes. I'll be back shortly. He went back downstairs, leaving us alone on the upper floor again. How's the, no, actually, we want to have a cooperation with you, Mrs. Edmunds. That's very welcome, Mr. President. I want the same thing. She moved herself on the chair to be more comfortable. First of all, congratulations with the vote in the Grand National Assembly. I admire your struggle, especially because you were strong enough to include concessions from your side. But now you face the Supreme Court, and it pains me to say that your proposal has a very low chance of getting through it. But you like the proposal? No, I don't like the proposal, so the current situation is clear. You need our wing to vote for you, otherwise all of your hard work will be in vain. I'm not going to deny that. That is the situation. That's a start. At that moment, the waiter came back from downstairs carrying plates of food. After seeing that we were in the midst of a discussion, he averted his eyes as he approached us. Quickly started serving the food and refilled our glasses. He placed the plate of flamenco-style liver fricassee in front of me. It looked and smelled like heaven. I was very hungry. Bon appetit. Thank you. It looks delicious. The waiter bowed to us and quickly went downstairs. We wished each other a good meal as Isabel and Nia slowly started to eat. So, Mrs. Edmunds, are you still thinking the same about the old god? Of course, nothing has changed. That's good. We still have that in common. That doesn't mean I will accept any proposal the old gods oppose. Yet, we must do something. You also know that we need this change in our institutions. Isabel took a sip from her water and turned to me. Tell me, Mr. President, what are your real intentions? We need a better democracy, that's all I'm striving for. For some reason I doubt that, but let's say this proposal goes through. Wait, why would you doubt that? I'm making deals with everyone. I'm trying to pull everyone into the coalition. I'm trying to make every voice be heard. I'm trying to make, have like respect ethnic and religious minorities and stuff. Let's say this proposal goes through. What will be your next move? To ensure the processes are respected and executed in transparency. I see. Ms. Edmunds, please help us achieve this victory. We have to be together in this, or what do you want in return for the centrist vote? What do you want in return for the centrist vote? I don't want anything, Mr. President. My vote is not for sale. I didn't come here to be disrespectful or disrespected. I did not intend any offense, Mrs. Edmunds. Please accept my apology. Of course. Can you explain to me one thing? How come you think that the Supreme Court's right to vote on the constitutional amendments is a major problem with such priority? I thought I'm asking the President, Mrs. Morgna. Oh, this is dangerous. The judiciary should not have legislative powers, Mrs. Edmunds. Oh, this is so hard. That point was a red line for Mr. Richter. We had to include it. I don't think that's true. I think I added that willingly. In fact, I don't think Richter actually asked us to change anything. I think, but I think, I don't know which, I don't want to agitate her. Oh my god. That point was a red line for Mr. Richter, we had to include it. Interesting, so you do not own it up after all. Oh no. There's also your political view. I don't want to hand a victory to a millennialist. I'm a democratic socialist, Mrs. Edmunds. There's a difference. So what? You're going to tell me you pursue Volkslandian socialism or something? Who cares if you're into Chancellor Hegel socialism or Swedish socialism or Bernard Sarkas? It's all Carlos Marcia's socioeconomics in the end. You're playing with fire, Mr. President. We're going to come back to the point of unifying against the old guard. I want the old guard gone as much as you, but I am torn on this proposal. Please, Mrs. Edmunds, we need your help. Mr. President, I'm also wondering, if you were in Sol's position, how would you have structured the Supreme Court? What do you even believe is its role? It must have the power of judicial review and to strike down the laws that are against the Constitution. So what do you think about the judicial review? So the way I see, I'm not 100% sure about how the judicial review of the Supreme Court actually works. It examines its constitutionality in respect to both the form and substance of laws, decrees having the force of law, and the rules of procedure of the Grand National Assembly. If necessary, it also functions as a Supreme Criminal Court, yeah. And it can invalidate whole laws or government decrees and prevent their application in future cases. The Supreme Court also functions as a second legislative body when a proposal to change the constitution of Sutherland passes the Grand National Assembly. It is currently led by Chief Justice Orso Hawker. Yeah, I like the idea of a Supreme Court being there to sort of interpret the constitutionality of laws, but really, that is problematic in the way that the Supreme Court exists at the current moment. This video is going to be very long, by the way. It plays an essential role in ensuring that each branch of government recognizes the limits of its own power. Precisely. I'm glad that we agree on that. So, Ms. Edmunds, what are you thinking? I want to help you, Ms. Morgana, but I still have great concerns. The proposal would pave the way for the WPB and CPS to enter the Assembly. I don't want to be a supporter of that. Don't agree with their ideologies, but we must be fair. Anyway, at least the proposal introduces term limits. I can say that I support that point. Let's see. I really hope you vote for the proposal, or please, Isabel, this vote means a lot to us. Okay, let me finish. I think I can get behind this proposal. Yes! Thank you, Miss Edmunds. I think I can get you the votes you need. I'll do my best to convince my group, but I can only speak for myself. Thank you. That's great to hear that you will support us. Thank you. I see that we are all finished with our meals too. I think it's time to conclude this meeting. Thank you for inviting me here, Mr. President. Thank you for coming. She stood up and shook my hand. Likewise. I think I cocked it up in the beginning, or like partially there, but that's good news. We still need to reach out to more people. She won't be enough. You should maybe talk to Lucian about other options. We may try reaching out to Heron if you want. After a few minutes of thoughtful silence, we also got up from our seats and left the restaurant. It was a good start, but I was still uncertain if Isabel would be enough. If I got in the presidential Cadillac, and Serge started driving me home. That's whether or not to reach out to Justice Heron. That might be something for the next episode, right? Yeah, this is something for the next episode, I think. I will offer a bribe, I think. I will offer a bribe. Actually, one personal wealth was way less than I thought it would be. I should probably have sent Frank to Acacia. But, that being said, thank you so much for watching. Let me know whether or not I should bribe this guy, if that could potentially have adverse effects. I feel like if that wasn't covered, the rest of the Supreme Court would be like, what the fuck are you doing? But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.